Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of General Mark A. Welsh III, Chief of Staff, United States Air Force, welcome to Peterson Air Force Base and Air Force Base Command. I'm Senior Master Sergeant Carlos Nurse, and I'll be your narrator for today's ceremony. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the change of command for Air Force Base Command, at which General William L. Shelton will relinquish command to General John E. Hyten. Following the change of command ceremony, we will transition to a retirement ceremony honoring General Shelton for over 38 years of dedicated service to our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the entrance of the official party, the playing of ruffles and flourishes, and the singing of our national anthem by the United States Air Force Academy Band.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please remain standing while Chaplain Timothy Butler, Command Chaplain, Headquarters Air Force Base Command, delivers the invocation.
If you are so inclined, I invite you to pray with me. Dear God, at the beginning of these change of command and retirement ceremonies, we pause to give you thanks for life, liberty, and the opportunity to pursue our dreams. Guard and guide President Obama, Secretary Hagel, Secretary James, General Welsh, and all of our leaders in our Department of Defense who protect and advance these unalienable rights we Americans hold dear during these turbulent times at home and abroad. As we prepare for the change of command between General Shelton and General Hyten, we turn to you, and we pray that you give General Hyten the grace needed to lead our Air Force Space Command with wisdom and to guide our people with compassion and patience in the midst of unprecedented change. Consistent with his new rank comes new responsibilities, which inevitably call forth further sacrifices from his family. Therefore, we ask your continued blessings on Mrs. Hyten and their children, Katie and Chris. As General Shelton is retired from active duty, we thank you for his quiet and competent leadership, and for the care and concern he and Mrs. Shelton demonstrated for airmen and their families throughout their 38 years of service. Bless them with deep peace, continued prosperity, good health, and length of days to enjoy family and friends in retirement. Finally, in the stillness of this moment, we ask you, O God, to watch over and protect us and all of our airmen, soldiers, sailors, Marines, guardians, civilians, and coalition partners wherever they are stationed as we seek a more just and peaceful world. Hear these spoken prayers and join them to the silent ones of all those gathered here and others beyond here who support the Sheltons, the Hytens, and the amazing airmen who faithfully accomplish our missions each and every day. We pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Butler. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. We are fortunate to have a number of distinguished and special guests with us today. We ask that you hold your applause until everyone has been recognized. General Welsh's wife, Mrs. Betty Welsh. General Shelton's wife, Mrs. Linda Shelton. General Hyten's wife, Mrs. Laura Hyten. General and Mrs. Shelton's daughter, Major Dr. Sarah Curley, her husband, Major Jim Curley, and their children, Jack and Aiden. Their son, Captain Joel Shelton, and his wife, Emily. General Shelton's mother, Shirley Shelton. His sister, Joanne Johnson, and her husband, Mike. His brother, Kirby, and his wife, Becky. Sister-in-law, Phyllis Clark, and her husband, Rocky. Brother-in-law, Cliff Markle, and his wife, Debbie. General and Mrs. Hyten's daughter, Katie, and their son, Chris. General Hyten's parents, Sherman and Barbara Hyten. His sister, Catherine Haynes. His brother, Scott Hyten, and his guest, Tracy Pennick. Mother-in-law, Marilyn Foreman. Brother-in-law, Damian Virant, and his wife, Jan. The Honorable Hans Mark, former Secretary of the Air Force. General Retired Ronald Fogelman, former Chief of Staff, United States Air Force. General Charles Jacoby Jr., Commander, North American Aerospace Defense and United States Northern Command. In the interest of time, and because so many esteemed guests have honored the Sheltons and Hytens with their presence here today, we are unable to introduce the numerous distinguished visitors we have in attendance. We welcome all of you, former Air Force senior leaders, general officers, directors, commanders, command chiefs, first sergeants, community leaders, airmen, friends, and family. Thank you for attending. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, it is my honor to introduce General Mark A. Welsh III, Chief of Staff, United States Air Force.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here today. You know, a great event like this doesn't just happen. There's an awful lot of other great folks here who are kind of in the background, like they always are, doing great work, tirelessly preparing venues like this for us to enjoy. Somebody set this stage up. Somebody hung this flag, cleaned out this hangar, set up the chairs. Somebody set up the platform in the back for the photographers to use. And those somebodies are probably still hanging out in the back of the room, along with the medics. They're here like the great band of the Rockies and all the people from protocol and the escorts that put this event together, just so we could enjoy it and we could honor two great airmen and their families. How about a round of applause for all the people who did that? I'd also like to thank all our special guests, military and civilian leaders, past and present, to the former Secretary of the Air Force, Hans Mark, former Chief of Staff, Ron Fogelman, and to the many current and former senior leaders and commanders of our Air Force, our Joint Force, and both U.S. and Air Force Space Command who are in attendance today. It's really an honor to be here with you. To the national, state, and city officials who are here, the civic and business leaders, the community partners, and friends in the audience, as always, you honor us by being here. A special thanks to the family members and personal friends who are here with us to celebrate these two outstanding men. And finally, to Willie and Linda Shelton, and to John and Laura Hyten. Just look at this crowd. Thanks for making us all want to be here today. This is a special day, not just for the Shelton and the Hyten family or for Air Force Space Command, but for our United States Air Force. Because today we get to acknowledge the profound impact of a great leadership team and welcome another one to the job. This command and its 40,000 airmen provide unparalleled space and cyberspace capability to the Joint Force and to the nation. Air Force Space Command warriors like those sitting in this hangar today provide global access, persistence, and awareness 24/7, 365. You've been doing it a long time, and lately you've been busy. Since 9/11, the pace of operations for the Department of Defense as a whole has been breathtaking. Combat, contingency, and humanitarian operations have been a way of life for our regional combatant commanders and for every member of the U.S. military. And none of those things happen without you. When someone drops a precision-guided weapon on the other side of the planet, we just assume it'll work. When they hit the microphone button or keypad to activate their comm link, they're connected. When they develop intricate timing and deconfliction plans for complex and dangerous missions, they just assume that the precise navigation and timing data will be available so they can safely and successfully execute those plans. When the nation considers placing a new capability into space, no one wonders whether you can launch it or successfully operate the constellation on orbit. It's just a given that you can. And when commanders like General Chuck Jacoby right here at NORTHCOM develop concepts of operations for missile defense, either for the homeland or for overseas locations, they start their planning with the assumption that missile warning will be provided by Air Force Space Command, because it always is. Your incredible performance in these and so many other mission areas, from meteorology to space surveillance, space control, ISR, command and control, and the full range of cyber operations, is now woven into the fabric of U.S. military activity. The simple truth is that without Air Force Space Command airmen and the capabilities you bring to the fight, we lose. I just can't tell you how proud I am of you and what you've accomplished and what you do every day. You just rock. So on behalf of the warriors and the citizens of this country who rely on you each and every day, even when they don't know it, thank you for what you do. For the past 3.5 years, this command has been guided by the steady hand of Willie Shelton. Sitting in this audience today are a number of space icons, literally icons, right here in these two middle sections. People who built this command, who built U.S. Space Command, who made them successful, who gave our nation an asymmetric advantage that we must never surrender. Willie Shelton is one of those icons. He's also a dedicated leader, and he's a tireless advocate for the people of this command. And he's a great and loyal friend who I've admired since the day I first met him at the Air Force Academy a long time ago. And that makes today especially tough for me, because we're not just replacing Willie as Air Force Space Command commander, we're also retiring he and Linda from our Air Force. Willie spent the majority of his 38-year career in the space business. There is no one with more experience or breadth of knowledge in space and cyberspace in the United States military than Willie Shelton. No one. He's commanded at every level of our Air Force, and while he excelled as a squadron and group commander, he set a new standard as a wing commander at F.E. Warren Air Force Base, where he led his wing to the highest ICBM alert rate in the history of the United States Air Force. He and Linda were the Air Force Space Command O'Malley Award winners in that job as the best wing commander and spouse team in the command, recognizing their contributions to their airmen, to their Air Force, and to the communities that supported them. It was a well-deserved honor. They could have earned it at every stop along the road. Willie also commanded 14th Air Force and U.S. Strategic Command's Joint Functional Component Command for space. He was spectacular in both roles. And then in the last 3.5 years as your commander, General Shelton and you took this command to new heights. The deep-seated pride and remarkable performance of the team he led, I believe, can be captured in just a couple of stunning statistics. There are many, many more. First, the incredibly complex systems you operate in a very unforgiving environment routinely perform their missions with a reliability rate of almost 98%. That's actually astonishing. And secondly, over the last 3 months alone, Air Force cyber warriors have performed over 33 billion blocking actions against actors trying to access Air Force networks, and over 228 million individual interceptions of suspicious emails coming into our networks. I'd say our satellite constellations and networks are in pretty good hands. I'll also tell you, Willie Shelton would be the first one to tell you that he didn't do any of that alone. Besides the great airman he's always felt privileged to lead, he has had a pretty spectacular sidekick. Ever since young Willie Shelton met Linda and somehow managed to convince her to become his high school sweetheart, they've been an amazing team. They've stood strong through every assignment, command, and challenge. They kept faith with their family, their airmen, and each other. Linda's been an avid supporter of military family programs and a superb role model for everyone she's met. Their success has always been as a team, and that team has made our Air Force and this command a better place to live and work. And today we celebrate their remarkable career. Willie and Linda, there are times when a thank you seems so inadequate. This is one of those. But thank you for 38 years of incredible, faithful service, and for your friendship, which Betty and I treasure, and that doesn't end today. All of us here and throughout your command wish you huge success, health, and happiness in the future. And I know this command will continue to make you proud, as you've made it proud. One of the great things about our Air Force is that every time we watch a great leader walk out the door, we seem to be able to watch another one walk in. And that's clearly the case today. John Hyten is a proven, phenomenal leader and a master space operator. He's also commanded with spectacular results at every level up to the MAJCOM level and performed superbly in critical staff positions. For the past 2 years, I've been privileged to watch John excel as your vice commander. He's got big shoes to fill. Luckily, he's got big feet. And just like Willie, John has a secret weapon. He and Laura met on a blind date set up by good old Aunt Phyllis. John actually avoided that date for months. But Aunt Phyllis is a little bit of a pit bull, I'm told. And Laura's a very patient woman. And John eventually came to his senses. And he and Laura have been a fantastic team ever since. Laura is also a tireless advocate for airmen and their families, and a supporter of many specific groups, including Mothers of Preschoolers and the Key Spouse Program. She also serves as a mentor to the Officer Spouses Club and as an advisor and confidant to many in the Air Force Space family. John credits Laura with being the single biggest reason for his success, and I'm sure you'll hear about that in a couple of minutes. Most of you already know them. They're amazing people. If you haven't met them, you're going to love them. Folks, Air Force Space Command remains in great hands. The long line of superb leaders continues. John, before we leave here today, I'd like you to take a minute to look at the airmen in front of you. Your airmen. America asks them to do really difficult things, and they always deliver. I need you to lead them. I need you to inspire them. I need you to take care of them. To the men and women of Air Force Space Command, thank you for the wonderful way you served Willie Shelton. I ask that you take care of John Hyten for me as well. And one last thing. Please remember that air power begins 22,000 miles above the target, and it moves at the speed of light. It always, always starts with you. Please be proud of that. I am.
Thank you, General Welsh. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now commence with a change of command for Air Force Space Command. This transfer symbolizes the continuity of command in the armed forces. The flag is the physical manifestation of command and is passed from General Shelton to General Welsh, who will then pass it to General Hyten as a sign of the transfer of authority. It is now my privilege to present the Commander of Air Force Space Command, General John E. Hyten.
Well, I have to admit that sounds pretty cool. Thank you very much. I can't begin to describe what a humbling experience this is. What an honor it is to take that flag and to begin command of this amazing command and these amazing airmen. Laura and I are thrilled and blessed to be given this opportunity. I'll try to keep my remarks short because, like many of you, I believe the focus of this day should really be on the Sheltons and their remarkable service to this nation. So I'll be brief, but I do need to thank a few people and let you know a little bit about what I think and how I work. Unfortunately, it's not possible for me to thank everybody here. So I apologize in advance if I don't mention you specifically, but please know that everyone here is a big part of this day in our lives. Mom and Dad, thanks again for everything. And just so you know, the ceremony we had in the club a little while ago, that was pretty special, but that's really not what this day is all about. This is what the day is all about. But I'm so thrilled that you're able to be here. General Welsh, Chief, thank you for the trust and confidence that you and Secretary James have placed in me. I'm sure many in the audience are wondering why in the world you made that decision, but I pledge to you my best efforts every day, and in moving this command forward, you can be sure I'll be a full partner as well in moving the Air Force forward every day. And Betty, thank you very much for being here too. You honor us with your presence. General Jacoby, thanks for taking the time today to be here. We'll continue to be as strong partners and neighbors on a number of critical missions which are so critical to this nation. Your presence here means a lot to all of us. Thanks for coming. General Shelton and Linda, you're a remarkable couple. You've been an incredible leadership team and special mentors for both Laura and me. Thanks for always being there, and thanks for never letting up. To the community of Colorado Springs, thanks for your incredible support to this nation's military, especially those of us lucky enough to live in this beautiful place. One of the amazing things about the way things turned out this past year is that we don't have to move. We get to stay here in Colorado. And we absolutely love this town. So thanks to all of you. I'm also lucky to have my brother and sister here. My mother-in-law, my brother, my sister-in-law, nieces, nephews, and an extended clan of family and friends from Alabama and all over. I hope you get a chance to visit with them today. And let me just say, if you do, the entertainment value will be very high. And in this audience are many people who made this day possible. My mentors, teachers, friends from every assignment I've had in the Air Force. And I thought about it this morning when I woke up early and I went through all my assignments. And in this audience is somebody from every assignment, from second lieutenant to 3-star general. Thanks isn't enough, but thank you. And to my wife and kids, Laura, Katie, and Chris, I'm so lucky. The 4 greatest days of my life were April the 26th, 1986, September the 5th, 1987, September the 1st, 1988, and March the 27th, 1990. Today's a good day, but nowhere close to those days. You 3 are truly the wind beneath my wings, and Laura, you are everything to me. I love you. And finally, to the Airmen of Air Force Space Command, thank you for what you do each and every day. You're an incredible group of people who have, over the past 3 decades, fundamentally changed warfare forever. You give the United States a decisive advantage over any adversary. You've changed the world, not only for our military that depends on you, but for citizens around the world, some of who don't even know that you exist. But we cannot let them down, ever. At my core, I am an American airman. With you, I fly, fight, and win in 3 warfighting domains: air, space, and cyberspace. 2 of these warfighting domains, space and cyberspace, are the responsibility of this command. My priorities will be in line with the Air Force priorities, but they're really quite simple. First, we must focus and win today's fight. We must continue to provide critical space and cyberspace capabilities to soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marine, Coast Guardsmen deployed around the world in harm's way today. From Afghanistan to Iraq, across the globe, no military operation takes place without the essential capabilities provided by this command. It's our sacred obligation to ensure they are provided without interruption. Second, we must prepare for the fight that may come tomorrow. We have no idea what the future holds, but there should be no doubt that we will be called upon to defend our critical space and cyberspace capabilities. If threatened, we will be ready to defend ourselves. Third, we must always take care of our airmen and their families. They have sacrificed and made a commitment to something larger than themselves. They have committed to the ideals of this great nation. We must always make sure that we recognize these sacrifices, their commitment, and ensure we work to provide the care and support that they have earned and justly deserve. Those are my priorities. And now it might be a little strange, but if you've been at any of my change of command in the past, I'm going to share my 2 red lines. Things I don't like, things that I will not tolerate. I've shared these at every change of command speech I've had since I was a squadron commander at 6 SOPs at Offutt Air Force Base, Nebraska in 1996. So I'm not going to stop now. Some may disagree, but I think I'm pretty easy to understand, I'm pretty easy to get along with, unless you cross one of these lines. First, I can handle any news that comes through my door, except old news. If something good happens, let me know and I'll celebrate with you. If something bad happens, let me know and I'll help you fix it. But if something happens and you choose not to tell me, when I find out, I'm going to be worried about fixing that problem and I'm not going to be worried about you. Second, everybody that chooses to come to work in the United States Air Force, every individual that puts on a uniform and comes to work each day has made a commitment to this nation, and they deserve to be treated with respect. I have no patience for those who don't treat their fellow airmen with respect, and I don't think they have any place in our Air Force. I don't want them in my Air Force, period. It's pretty quiet. Other than those red lines, I feel like I'm really easy to understand. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you every day. I look forward to creating a continued future for this command, building on the legacy of those that came before us, and all I can do is pledge my best, and I can't wait to get started. One final observation. When I found out that I was going to be the next commander of Air Force Space Command, one of the most intimidating things for me was to walk to my office as the vice commander every day in the headquarters, walking past those big stinking pictures on the wall of General Hardinger, Katina, Ashey, Estes, Meyer, Mormon, Horner, Lord, Shelton, Kaler, and pretty soon General Shelton. And I just could never imagine myself filling their shoes. But a few months ago, I realized that this wasn't going to be the real challenge of the job. The real challenge of the job is going to be living up to your expectations. Those of you in the back, the 40,000 airmen of this command. That's the one I find a little daunting. That's what I think about most as I stand before you today, but I know that if I give my best, you will be right there beside me. We will not let each other fail, and will continue to set new standards and build on the historic legacy of those who came before us. So Laura and I are ready to go. Thank you again. And now, let's focus on the big event of the day, a proper send-off for General and Mrs. Shelton. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the men and women of Air Force Space Command would like to extend a warm welcome to Mrs. Hyten. We look forward to the continued friendships as she remains an integral part of our community. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the change of command portion of our ceremony. We will now transition to the retirement ceremony for General Shelton. Prestigious event and the highest honor we can give a retiring Air Force member. This ceremony is used to say thank you for faithful service, to wish good luck in future endeavors, and bid a heartfelt farewell as a member transitions into retirement. Through this transition, we must remember that military retirement is just an extension of an active duty career. A retired Air Force member will continue to be a valuable part of the United States Air Force community. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as General Welsh presents General Shelton with the Distinguished Service Medal. Attention to orders. Citation to accompany the award of the Distinguished Service Medal, 1st Oak Leaf Cluster, to General William L. Shelton. The President of the United States of America, authorized by Act of Congress July 9, 1918, awards the Distinguished Service Medal to General William L. Shelton for exceptionally meritorious service in a duty of great responsibility. General Shelton distinguished himself as Commander, Air Force Base Command, Peterson Air Force Base, Colorado, from 5 January 2011 to 31 August 2014. Equipped with unparalleled operational experience and diplomatic aplomb, General Shelton enhanced the mission effectiveness of over 40,000 personnel at 88 locations, providing combat effects through air, space, and cyberspace domains to joint warfighters around the globe. During his command, he crafted a new airspace policy, articulating a vision that safeguards our continued leadership in an increasingly contested environment. General Shelton revolutionized how the Air Force acquires, fields, and operates space systems. His focus on reduced complexity, greater resiliency, and improved affordability clearly advanced international and commercial cooperation without sacrificing mission assurance. He directly enabled 36 consecutive successful space launches, supporting national security and commercial space interests, delivering premier position, navigation and timing, surveillance, communications, missile warning, and weather services to the joint warfighter and the nation. General Shelton championed a paradigm shift in planning, acquiring, and executing capabilities as he led the integration of space and cyberspace in the Air Force. His innovative leadership cultivated a new vision for the future of the cyberspace domain, resulting in the first ever designation of 7 cyberspace weapon systems, which directly enhanced and improved cyberspace operations in the Air Force. In response to a constantly evolving threat environment, General Shelton accelerated completion of Air Force network migration, integrating multiple disparate networks into a single defendable, robust network supporting more than 800,000 airmen. Additionally, his leadership was instrumental in operationalizing 24th Air Force, enhancing our warfighter superiority through strategic employment of cyberspace capabilities. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of General Shelton culminate a long and distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect the highest credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, General Welsh will now retire General Shelton. Please remain standing for the publishing of the retirement orders. Attention to orders, Department of the Air Force, Washington, D.C. Special Order Number Alpha Charlie Golf -0000049. General William L. Shelton, effective 31 August 2014, you are relieved from active duty, organization, and station of assignment, retired effective 1 September 2014 in the grade of General. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. General Welsh will now present the certificate of retirement to General Shelton. Every person retiring from active duty is presented a certificate of retirement to commemorate their active duty career. The certificate reads, Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that General William L. Shelton, having served faithfully and honorably, is retired from the United States Air Force on the first day of September 2014. Signed, General Mark A. Welsh III, United States Air Force Chief of Staff. Mrs. Shelton, General Welsh will now present you with an Air Force Certificate of Appreciation for the support you have given your husband throughout his career. The certificate reads, Certificate of Appreciation from the United States Air Force. In grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents this certificate of recognition to Linda Shelton for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for the support which has gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service. Given on the first day of September 2014. Signed, General Mark A. Welsh III, United States Air Force Chief of Staff. The men and women of Air Force Space Command would like to also take this opportunity to thank Mrs. Shelton for her support to the command. Linda, thank you for all you've done. We truly appreciate your dedication and commitment to our worldwide military community and wish you the best of luck on all your future endeavors. Thank you, General Welsh and Mrs. Shelton. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to introduce General William L. Shelton, United States Air Force, retired.
Somehow that has a really nice ring to it. Thank you all for being here. It is really a special day for us, obviously, but it's great to have all of you here. Special thanks to Chief and Betty. We're classmates from the Air Force Academy, as he said. It just means a great deal to have you here, and there's just some special synergy to having a classmate being the Chief of Staff of the Air Force and conducting a retirement ceremony. It's just really a special privilege. And I also want to thank you for the load you carry for our Air Force and how you do it with such style and such patience. It is a really an example to all of us, and you too, Betty. I know you have a heavy workload too, so Linda and I admire you both, and we are very proud of both of you, so thank you. Thanks to all of you who took the time and effort to be here today. And I'm sorry we didn't have time to introduce everyone. There's just a whole bunch of special people here, truly special to us, for sure. And I'm guessing, however, that most of you would trade an introduction for a shorter ceremony any day, so that's what we kind of counted on. I'm so grateful to have my family here with me today and thank them all for being here. Linda, my high school sweetheart, wife of 38 years. If you count the time since we started dating, we've really been together about 43 years. And we waited for a while to get married after I graduated from the Air Force Academy, 2.5 weeks. She's been my best friend and my inspiration. I didn't think that would happen. Incredible strength, and I am grateful for all you meant to us, our family, to me personally. Thank you. I want to take a couple of minutes to brag on my kids a little bit. Our daughter, Sarah, and her husband, Jim, she's serving the Air Force as an Air Force family practice doctor, just returned from a 6-month deployment to Oman. Jim's a C-17 pilot who just came out on the lieutenant colonel's list, and he was left behind to care for our 2 grandsons for the second time in 2 years. So family life in our Air Force can be a little tough these days, and we thank you for all you do. I may be just a little bit biased, but I happen to think she's a pretty good doc, too. My son Joel and his wife Emily. Joel is a weapons school instructor at Hurlburt, and at one point he was in the top 40 across the entire Air Force in combat flying hours. You know, I kid him about all the ribbons he wears. I tell him, hey, I know if you go to clothing sales, they'll sell you any ribbon you want. Because he's got more than me. But he's earned those on many deployments, and Emily was left to keep the home fires burning many, many times. Mom's here. Dad passed away 14 years ago. Needless to say, we wish he could all be here, or we all wish he could be here. Mom and Dad gave me a great start in life, allowing me to venture out, even though I know that's not what they really wanted me to do. Thank you, Mom, for everything, and words just can't capture the feelings, and besides, I know I would tear up, and if I look at you, I'm going to tear up, and I'm trying to avoid that today, so I'm going to look over here. My sister Joanne and her husband Mike are here, along with one of their daughters and her family. Tremendous support over the years, and I'm grateful for all that they've meant to us. My brother Kirby and his wife Becky are here, along with their entire family. And in fact, between Joanne's family and Kirby's family, we have lots of nieces and nephew and their kids with us. Thank you all for coming and for all the fun that we've had over the years watching these little urchins of ours grow up. It's been fun. Linda's sister Phyllis and her husband Rocky are here. They somehow managed to leave Oklahoma without any of their 11 grandkids. And Linda's brother Cliff and his wife Debbie are here. It's also been fun watching their families grow alongside ours. So as I said, lots of family, lots of good friends here, and I thank you all for taking the time to be here and making the effort. I'm going to try to be brief, and I'll make this confession to you up front. My words are going to be totally inadequate as I express my feelings about an Air Force career that has been more rewarding than a kid from Oklahoma could ever expect. I've had opportunities to literally see the world, stepping on every continent with the exception of Antarctica, and somebody even tried to get me a trip there one time that I just refused to take. In this profession, I have met, worked for, and worked with incredibly talented people in government service, in industry, and in academia who keep this country safe through their intelligence and their dedication to our collective defense. I thank you all for what you do and for the pure joy of working alongside you. I've gotten to operate some of the most sophisticated machinery man has ever made, not because I deserve that opportunity, but because the Air Force gave it to me. I've had the distinct privilege of leading men and women who gave their youth in service to this nation, and I'm forever grateful for their hard work and for their allegiance. In the past several years of my career, I've had the unique privilege of helping define our future in space and cyberspace. And Chief, I thank you and Chief Schwartz before you for that very special opportunity. Someone asked me not long ago what I liked most about my current job as a reporter, one of those softball questions. But the answer was very easy. You work your entire adult life in various positions, then lightning strikes, and you get to command the organization you grew up in. That is very, very special, and I will always be thankful to have had that opportunity. Those of you who know me well understand how passionate I am about the missions of Air Force Space Command. I try to keep that passion at a tolerable level, but it's been known to boil over just every once in a while. So hopefully it was mostly tolerable for those of you I worked with. I've truly enjoyed these 38 years of service, and I depart very satisfied with how things turned out at the ripe old age of 60. And how could I not be? You've already met my family, 2 successful children and their families. I couldn't be a prouder papa, and all credit goes to Linda. You did good as a mom. Thank you. My Air Force family here, past and present, reminding me of all the marvelous people I've met and the truly wondrous things I've had the privilege to see and do. I wish I had time to talk about the impact each of you has had on our lives, but we just don't have that time today. But I leave Air Force Space Command in good hands, having just turned it over to someone who I know has the talent, the experience, and the dedication to nurture these special people who make up this command and lead them into a challenging future. John, I wish you every success and happiness in command of this great organization. And I can't say enough thanks for your superb performance as my vice commander. I hope you always knew that I had complete confidence in you. And by the way, that 4th star looks mighty good on your shoulders. To the men and women of Air Force Space Command, you have been brilliant over these past 3.5 years. It hasn't been an easy ride of late, as you know, but your innovation has kept our ship afloat in the midst of incredible budget pressure. And the people who have borne the brunt, who I've yanked through knotholes over the past couple of years, are our commanders and directors. So I'd like to take a moment to recognize all of you for what you've done, but more importantly, what you will do for this command in the future. Everyone here who has had the title or has the title of commander or director in Air Force Space Command, be it military or civilian, over the past 3.5 years, would you please stand? Come on, don't be shy. Everybody stand. Give them a round of applause, please. Our enlisted leadership has been superb as well, keeping our airmen focused on operational excellence and functional excellence in the midst of tremendous uncertainty. So same thing, if you are now or have been over the past 3.5 years a command chief, first sergeant, or superintendent in this command, please stand. To everyone in the command, please remember our space and cyberspace capabilities will continue to be foundational for our joint team, so I know that you'll keep finding ways to provide that capability affordably and with much more resilience in the face of growing threats. And as the famous NASA flight director Gene Kranz would say, failure is not an option. Speaking of Gene Kranz, and a little aside here, I guess that's a privilege of having the microphone at this point. I just watched the landing of Apollo 11 again. We just had the 45th anniversary of that amazing accomplishment. I listened to Gene guide the flight control team and heard the dialogue with the lunar module crew of Armstrong and Aldrin as they did something mankind had never done. I was again struck with a sense of awe at what this nation can do when it puts its mind to it. My fervent hope is that we will again find the big idea that will capture the imagination of our young and old alike, create a unifying goal for our nation, whether it be in space or some other pursuit. But as Martin Luther King said, I have a dream. To the community of Colorado Springs, I can't thank you enough for welcoming Linda and me just like you do with all the military folks living in this community. Linda and I are now full-time residents of El Paso County. We're hanging around for the long haul. A very special thank you to Patty McGinnis and her team who pulled together all the activities of the last few days. Friday night celebration has a very special meaning for Patty tonight. Thank you, Patty. And would you, Patty, and all your team who had a part in this ceremony, please stand and be recognized. Don't be shy, please stand. To the Blue Steel Quartet, thank you for that wonderful rendition of the national anthem. Very talented people, part of my favorite band. Now to someone I can't thank enough. I call her the best director of protocol in the Air Force because I believe it's true, and many of you will back me up on that as well. Her dedication and her excellence while she was on active duty has carried forward into her civilian career, and she's been a very trusted advisor far beyond the boundaries of protocol. This is her last big event because she's decided to go a different direction professionally. So everybody join me in a round of applause for Audrey Finkston over here. Audrey. Thank you for doing that. She deserves it. And last but no means least, I want to thank my front office staff. In fact, I see them as representative of all the front office staffs who have propped me up over the last few years. Executive officers, administrative assistants, officer aides, enlisted aides, information specialists, protocol specialists, personal security officers, they've all had a hand in keeping me pointed in the right direction every day. And there are several of them here today who have traveled great distances at their own expense to be here, so thank you very much. Truth be told, they spent more time with me than Linda over the past several years. So thank you all for your tremendous support and dedication. I have something to share with you, but this needs to be our secret. Angie, my tough administrative assistant over the last 3.5 years, she has a heart as big as this hangar. But she's been trying to convince people that she doesn't for years and years. So Angie, thank you. As I come to a close, this is a time when I'm supposed to say something incredibly insightful, something truly momentous. Well, here's how I feel about that. If I haven't said it before today, it's probably not that important. So with that in mind, I'll simply say this. I leave with no regrets, no unfulfilled aspirations, and I'm very proud and happy to be moving to the roles of retired Air Force officers. I've always subscribed to the philosophy that you should just work hard, do your best in whatever job you find yourself in, and let the future take care of itself. Well, I have to admit, I've been extremely fortunate over my Air Force career. And God has blessed us in so many ways. But it's time to move on, to find new challenges, new interests, a new way of life, really. I recently read a quote by that famous general, World War II general of the Army, Omar Bradley. He said, and I quote, "I am convinced that the best service a retired general can perform is to turn in his tongue along with his suit and to mothball his opinions." Well, I'm not sure I completely agree with that, but I certainly take his broader meaning. So as Linda and I depart, we'll enjoy our Chipeta Park home. We'll take some time to adjust to that new way of life, and trust me, we'll reflect on very fond memories of all of you. I'm not sure what the future holds for us professionally, but that will all develop in due time. And we have a much more important near-term focus with Linda. May God bless all of you. May God bless our great nation. And may God bless the greatest Air Force in the world. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, in keeping with tradition, please remain standing as we conclude this ceremony with the singing of the Air Force song, followed by the departure of the official party.